Mataji, can you share text 2? Yeah, thank you. एतद्वेदितम् उच्छामि तत्त्वं तत्त्वविदां वर हरेरब्धुत वीर्यस्य कथालोकसमङ्गलः.
The king said, I wish I know. Narration concerning the Lord, who possesses wonderful potencies, are certainly auspicious for living beings in all planets.
Text 3. कथयस्व महाभाग यथाहम् अखिलात्मनि कृष्णे निवेशस्य निःसङ्गं मनस्त्यक्ष्य कलेवरम्.
O greatly fortunate Sukdev Goswami, please continue narrating Srimad Bhagavatam so that I can place my mind upon the Supreme Soul, Lord Krishna, and being completely freed from material qualities, thus relinquish this body.
Text 4. शृण्वता श्रद्धया नित्यं गृणतश्च स्वचेष्टितं कालेन नादिदीर्घेन भगवान् विशते हृदि.
Persons who hear Srimad Bhagavatam regularly and are always taking the matter very seriously will have the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna manifested in their hearts within a short time.
Text 5. प्रविष्टकर्णरन्ध्रेण स्वानां भाव सरोरुहं धुनोति शमलं कृष्णः सलिलस्य यथा शरत्.
The sound incarnation of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Soul, Srimad Bhagavatam, enters into the heart of a self-realized devotee, sits on the lotus flower of his loving relationship, and thus cleans the dust of material association, such as lust, anger, and hankering. Thus, it acts like autumnal rains upon pools of muddy water.
Text 6. धौतात्मा पुरुष कृष्ण पादमूलं न मुञ्चति मुक्तसर्वपरिक्लेश पन्थः स्वशरणं यथा.
A pure devotee of the Lord, whose heart has once been cleansed by the process of devotional service, never relinquishes the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, for they fully satisfy him as a traveler is satisfied at home after a troubled journey.
Text 7. यद् अधातु मतो ब्रह्मन् देहारम्भोऽस्य धातुभिः यद्रचया ये तु न वा भवन्तो गानते यथा.
O learned Brahmana, the transcendental spirit soul is different from the material body. Does he acquire the body accidentally or by some cause? Will you kindly explain this, for it is known to you?
Text 8. असेद्यत् उदरात् पद्मं लोकसंस्थानलोक्षणं यावान् अयं वै पुरुष यतावयवः पृथक् तावन् असाविति प्रोक्तः संस्थावयवानिव.
If the Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whose abdomen the lotus stem sprouted, is possessed of a gigantic body according to his own caliber and measurement, then what is the specific difference between the body of the Lord and those of common living entities?
Text 9. अजः सृजति भूतानि भूतात्मा यद् अनुग्रहात् तदृशे येन तद्रूपं नाभिपद्मसमुद्भवः.
Brahma, who was not born of a material source, but of the lotus flower coming out of the navel abdomen of the Lord, is the creator of all those who are materially born. Of course, by the grace of the Lord, Brahma was able to see the form of the Lord.
Text 10. स चापि यत्र पुरुषो विश्वस्थित्य उद्भवाप्ययः मुक्त्वात्मा मायां मयशः सेते सर्वगोषयः.
Please also explain the personality of Godhead who lies in every heart as the super soul and as the Lord of all energies, but is untouched by his external energy.
Text 11. पुरुषावयवैर्लोकः सपालः पूर्वकल्पितः लोकैरमुष्य वयवाः सपालैरिति शुश्रुम.
O learned Brahmana, it was formally explained that all the planets of the universe with their respective governors are situated in the different parts of the gigantic body of the Virat Purusha. I have also heard that the different planetary systems are supposed to be in the gigantic body of the Virat Purusha. But what is their actual position? Will you please explain that?
Text 12. यावान् कल्पो विकल्पो वा यथा कालो अनुमीयते भूतभव्य भवच्छब्द आयुर्मानं च यत्सतः.
Also, please explain the duration of time between creation and annihilation, that of other subsidiary creations, as well as the nature of time, indicated by the sound of past, present, and future. Also, please explain the duration and measurement of life of the different living beings known as the demigods, the human beings, etc., in different planets of the universe.
Text 13. Mataji. कालस्यानुगतिर्यातु लक्ष्यते न विभ्रत्यतेऽपि यावत्य कर्मगतयो यावत्य कर्मगतयो या दृष्टिर्द्विजसत्तमा.
O purest of Brahmanas, please also explain the cause of the different duration of time, both short and long, as well as the beginning of time following the course of action.
Text 14. यस्मिन् कर्म समावायो यथा येनोपर्घ्यते गुणानां गुणिनां चैव परिणामम् अभिप्सताम्.
Then again, kindly describe how the proportionate accumulation of the reactions resulting from the different modes of material nature act upon the desiring living being, promoting or degrading him among the different species of life, beginning from the demigods down to the most insignificant creatures.
Text 15. भूपातालकुकुव्योम ग्रह नक्षत्र भूभृतां सरित् समुद्र द्वीपानां सम्भवश्चैतदोकशाम्.
O best of the Brahmanas, please also describe how the creation of the globes throughout the universe, the four directions of the heavens, the sky, the planets, the stars, the mountains, the rivers, the seas, and the island, as well as the different kinds of inhabitants, takes place.
Text 16. परमाणम् अंडकोशस्य बाह्याभ्यन्तरभेदतः महतां चानुचरितं वर्णाश्रमविनिश्ययः.
Also, please describe the inner and outer space of the universe by specific divisions, as well as the character and activities of the great souls, and also the characteristics of the different classifications of the caste and orders of social life.
Text 17. युगानि युगमानं च धर्मो यश्च युगे युगे अवतारानुचरितं यद् आश्चर्यतमं हरेः.
Please explain all the different ages in the duration of the creation and also the duration of such ages. Also tell me about the different activities of the different incarnations of the Lord in different ages.
Text 18. नृणां साधारणो धर्मः सविशेषश्च यादृशः श्रेणीनां राजर्षीणां च धर्मः कृच्छ्रेषु जीवताम्.
Also, please also explain what may generally be the common religious affiliation of human society, as well as the specific occupational duties in religion, the classification of the social order as well as the administrative royal orders, and the religious principles for one who may be in distress.
Text 19. तत्त्वानां परिसङ्ख्यानं लक्षणं हेतुलक्षणं पुरुषाराधनविधिर्योगस्याध्यात्मिकस्य च.
Kindly explain all about the elementary principles of creation, the number of such elementary principles, their causes and their development, and also the process of devotional service and the method of mystic powers.
Text 20. योगेश्वरेश्वर गतिर्लिङ्ग भागस्तु योगिनां वेदोपवेद धर्माणाम् इतिहासः पुराणयोः.
What are the opulences of the great mystics and what is their ultimate realization? How does the perfect mystic become detached from the subtle astral body? What is the basic knowledge of the Vedic literatures, including the branches of history and the supplementary Puranas? Hare Krishna, please forgive me
Hare
for
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mitali Mataji and Shreya Mataji, for wonderful recitation. I like to wish everyone happy Pandav Nirjala Ekadasi today. Hope it's going quite auspicious and well. Have been given this wonderful opportunity to discuss Bhagavatam today on this auspicious day. So I seek your blessings and we'll start with reciting the prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agnanatimirandhasya Gnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sha. हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्य ईश्वरम्। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयामुदीरयेत्। Satam prasangan mama vidya samvido bhavanti ritkarnarasayana kathaha tajoshanada shapavarkavartmani shraddha ratir bhaktiranukrameshyati नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तेर्भवति नैष्ठिके Om Tat Sat. I'll share the Veda base so we can discuss today's verses. Okay. Can you see the Veda base on the screen?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. So today is 2.8.5 and it is 6 and 7. 1 second. Okay, so we'll recite today's verse. Pravishta karnarandrena svanam bhava saroruham dunoti shamalam krishna salilasya yatha sharat. Let's get the synonyms. 1 second. Yes. So the synonyms are pravishta, thus being entered, karnarandrena, through the holes of the ears, svanam, according to one's liberated position, bhava, constitutional relationship, saroruham, the lotus flower, dhunoti, cleanses, shamalam, material qualities like lust, anger, avarice, and hankering, Krishna, Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Salilasya, of the reservoir of waters, Yatha, as it were, Sharat, the autumn season. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The sound incarnation of Lord Krishna, the super soul, that is Srimad Bhagavatam, enters into the heart of a self-realized devotee, sits on the lotus flower of his loving relationship, and thus cleanses the dust of material associations such as lust, anger, and hankering. Thus it acts like autumnal rains upon pools of muddy water. Purport. It is said that a single pure devotee of the Lord can deliver all the fallen souls of the world. Thus, one who is actually in the confidence of a pure devotee, like Narada or Shukdev Goswami, and thus is empowered by one spiritual master, as Narad Muni was by Brahmaji, can not only deliver himself from the clutches of Maya or illusion, but can deliver the whole world by his pure and empowered devotional strength. The comparison to the autumnal rain that falls on muddy reservoir of water is very appropriate. During the rainy season, all the waters of the rivers become muddy. But in the month of July, August, the autumn season, when there is slight rainfall, the muddy waters of the rivers all over the world become at once clear. By addition of some chemical, a small reservoir of water, like that of a metropolitan waterworks tank, can be cleared. But by such a tiny effort, it is not possible to clear up all the reservoirs of water like the rivers. A powerful, pure devotee of the Lord, however, can deliver not only his personal self but also many others in his association. In other words, the cleansing of the polluted heart by other methods, like the culture of empiric knowledge or mystic gymnastics, can simply cleanse one's own heart, but devotional service to the Lord is so powerful that it can cleanse the hearts of the people in general by the devotional service of the pure empowered devotee. A true representative of the Lord like Narada, Shukdev Goswami, Lord Chaitanya, the six Goswamis, and later Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, etc., can deliver all people by their empowered devotional service. By sincere efforts to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, one realizes his constitutional relationship with the Lord in the transcendental humor of servitude, friendship, parental affection, or conjugal love, and by such realization, one becomes situated at once in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Not only were all the pure devotees like Narad self-realized souls, but they were engaged in preaching work automatically by spiritual impetus, and thus they delivered many poor souls entangled in the material modes. They became so powerful because they sincerely followed the Bhagavatam principles by regular hearing and worshipping. By such actions, the accumulated material lust, etc., become cleansed by the personal endeavor of the Lord within the heart. The Lord is always within the heart of the living being, but he becomes manifested by one's devotional service. Anyone wants to read last paragraph? Sorry, I forgot to ask.
I could read
Yes.
it.
Yeah, sure. Who's reading?
I can read.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Purification of the heart by culture of knowledge or mystic yoga may be all right for the time being for an individual person, but it is like the cleansing of a small quantity of stagnant water by chemical processes. Such clarification of water may stand for the time being and the sediments settle down, but by a slight agitation, everything becomes muddy. The idea is that devotional service to the Lord is the only method of cleansing the heart for good, whereas other methods may be superficially good for the time being. There is a risk of becoming muddy again due to agitation of the mind. Devotional service to the Lord with specific attention for hearing Srimad Bhagavatam regularly and always is the best recommended method for liberation from the clutches of illusion. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. So today we are going to discuss the class without the PowerPoint slides. I have not made them, but that's fine. We have database, and then we'll try to discuss something. So this is a beautiful verse. Just to begin with, this chapter is titled Questions by Parikshit Maharaj, second canto, chapter 8. And the first 6 verses, Parikshit Maharaj inspires Shukdev Goswami to speak Harikatha. So he says in the first verse that please speak about Narada Muni's preaching. Then he says in the second verse that I wish to know the truth of the Lord who possesses wonderful potencies. And then in the third verse, he says that please continue to speak so that I can give up my body while absorbing my mind in Krishna, devoid of material attachments. And now all these verses, the series of verses, they are such beautiful verses as Parikshit Maharaj is glorifying Krishna Katha, and how he says that what are the benefits, advantages of hearing Krishna Katha, and why we should regularly hear Srimad Bhagavatam and Krishna Katha. He says the verse 4 that Lord Hari, he enters the hearts of whoever is hearing Krishna Katha. And today's verse is that if we continuously hear about Krishna, then it purifies our heart. And as we can see in this verse, there is also a beautiful analogy here Srila Prabhupada gives here. The verse itself says, right, that Dunoti Shamalam Krishna. See, here it is saying that Amalam is the impurities in the heart. And Srila Prabhupada says here that the analogy is basically given here of the emotions of a devotee, they are like lotus, and Krishna enters through the ears as Bhagavatam, like a sound vibration, and he sits on the lotus emotions of our heart. Pravishta Karna Randrena. Karna is the ears, and Randrena. Through the holes of the ears, Krishna enters in the heart. So how, what is the process? That he will enter through the ears and he will go in the heart, he will sit there. How? Because that sound vibration of hearing Krishna Katha enters the holes of the ears and enters the heart, and that's how Krishna will sit there. If our heart is clean of all the it of the all the bad qualities, material qualities like lust, anger, pride, greed, envy. And at the same time, it will purify if we continuously hear. So if we hear, it will purify. And then when it's purified, Krishna will sit in the heart. So that is the process. And the beautiful analogy given here is about a reservoir. We all must have seen a lake, right? That the lake becomes muddy during monsoon because the rain is falling continuously. So the mud at the bottom of the lake will mix with the water of the lake and it becomes muddy. But what happens is, as I mentioned in the purport, that by July, August, the autumn season will come. And during this season, because the rain is not continuously following, the mud will now settle at the bottom of the lake. And sometimes there will be intermittent drizzle or rain happens. So that intermittent rain in the autumn will form a beautiful transparent water layer on top of that lake, and the mud has settled by now, and on top of it there is a fresh layer of water. Thus the entire lake becomes clean and transparent. So in the same way, similarly, the process of hearing Krishna's glories will purify our muddy hearts as well. Purified from what? All the anarthas, right? So even like, yesterday shloka, we have seen that Shranvata Shraddhaya Nityam Granatascha Swacheshtitam Kalena Nati Dirghena Bhagavan Vishate Radi 284. Here, see, after hearing many chapters from Shukdev Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj, he is expressing his intense eagerness that he wants to hear more and more about Krishna, and he also shared his realization. In this verse, he is glorifying the glories of Krishna and why we should hear Krishna Katha. He says, Shranvata Shraddhaya Nityam, with Shraddha, with faith, if we regularly hear, then Kalena Nati Dirghena means without much delay, Bhagwan Vishate Radi, the Lord will manifest in our heart. So Shanvata Shraddhaya Nityam Granatascha Svacheshtitam. Not only hearing Bhagavatam regularly, but with one's own endeavor, what we need to do is apply whatever we have heard. At least we have to make an honest and sincere, humble attempt to put the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam that we have acquired, which we are hearing Nityam, we are doing the Shravanam, then we have to try to put into practice. So that attempt to make teachings of Bhagavatam, we have to try and make it practical and put it in practice, and that inspires Lord to appear in our hearts very soon, right? Because sometimes we may question that we have heard so many times in Bhagavad Gita, so many shlokas, that Krishna is within our heart. So by hearing Krishna Katha, all these verses in this chapter are saying, these few verses, that he will appear in our heart. But we might question that he is already in our heart, right? We are saying Bhagavad Gita says Krishna as super soul is within the heart. So why would he appear? So the answer is here. See, in 1861, there is Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, he declares, Ishvara Sarvabhutana Vriddeshe Arjuna Tishtati Brahmayam Sarvabhutani Yantra Rudhani Mayaya. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjun, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of material energy. So every single living being and even every single atom in the universe cannot sustain and cannot animate or function without the super soul in the heart, or even within water there is Krishna, right? Characteristics of earth is fragrance, right? All the flowers have fragrance in it, the earth has fragrance, and where does that fragrance comes? So Krishna has said in Bhagavad Gita, right? 7.9, Punyo Gandha Prithvyam Cha Tejas Chasmi Vibhavasau Jivanam Sarva Bhuteshu Tapaschasmi Tapasvishu. I am the original fragrance of the earth and I am the heat in fire. I am the life of all that lives, and I am the penances of ascetics. So when we are thirsty, we want to drink water, and there is taste in the water. So that taste is present in water because of Krishna. So all the qualities of even non-living things, salt is salty because that quality is acquired because of super soul within salt, because of Krishna's presence. In 7.8, Krishna says, right, Rasoham apsu konteya prabhasmi shashi suryo pranava sarva vedeshu shabdakhe purusham rishu. So the taste of water is Krishna. And even the popular verse 15.15, I remember when we were doing chapter a day Bhagavad Gita, that time so many devotees had, and afterwards we were all sharing at the end of the chapter that 15.15 was everyone's favorite verse. Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishto matta smritir gnanam apohanam cha vedescha sarvairaham eva vedyo vedantakrit ved videha chaham. So everyone knows this verse, right? That Krishna is seated in everyone's heart, and from him knowledge and remembrance comes, even forgetfulness comes. And the purpose of studying all the Vedas is to understand Krishna. And even the Vedas, the compiler is also Krishna. So Krishna is present in the heart of everyone. But he will appear in our heart because, see, although Krishna exists in our heart, not many people realize this fact. I mean, how many people are there who actually are aware moment by moment or even intermittently that Krishna is present in the heart as super? So not many people actually, they don't realize or acknowledge this fact. So that is why Prabhupada answers this question in the purport that although Lord is present, not many people know even their identity that I am servant of Krishna. Not many people know this. Jivera Swarup Hoy Krishnera Nitya Das. So this realization that I am connected to Krishna comes by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam on regular basis. If we hear, then at the time, Krishna will not only be present as super soul, as Paramatma, to give us the remembrance of our past activities, but he will act as Bhagwan personally to guide us to his lotus feet. This is why it is very important to regularly hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Again in 10.10 Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mamupayanti te, right? To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. So Dadami, Krishna gives inspiration to come closer to his lotus feet, and we develop devotion and we feel his presence in the heart. So Krishna likes to be captivated, he likes to be actually arrested and in the heart of a sincere devotee. So Srimad Bhagavatam beautifully declares this that by regular hearing, we develop devotion to the Lord. We feel His presence in the heart, and Lord will become so enchanted by a sincere hearer of Bhagavatam that he likes to be captivated and captured and arrested in the heart of such a sincere devotee of Krishna. And we all know right in the first canto, in the first chapter, the second shloka, right? Anyone wants to recite what is 112? The shloka 112. What does Krishna say there? Dharma projita kaitavotra paramo nirmatsaraణam satam Vedyam vastamamatra vastu shivadam tapatrayon श्रीमद्भागवते महामुनिकृते किं वा परैरीश्वरः सद्योरुद्यवरुध्यते कृतभिः शुश्रूषुभिस्तत्क्षणात्. So what does this verse say? That those people, dharma projita kaitavotra paramo nirmat saranam satam, Bhagavad Puran propounds the highest truth, which is understandable by those devotees who are pure in the heart. Nirmat Saranam Satam. Then there is one more verse at the end of Bhagavatam in the 12th canto, the last chapter, 13.18 verse. There also something similar is there, that Srimad Bhagavatam is understood by Paramhamsas, the great topmost devotees. Yasmin Paramahamsyam Ekamamalam Gnanam Param Giyate. So then again the question may arise, that is Srimad Bhagavatam not meant for me? It is saying Nirmat Saranam Satam, it is for non-envious people. Even in Bhagavad Gita 9.1 there is a verse, right? Idam tu te guhyatamam pravakshyami anasuyave gnanam vidya gnanam 9.1, right? Krishna says to Arjun that those who are non-envious, only they get this confidential message. So it doesn't mean that because someone is non-envious, they are envious, they can't hear Bhagavatam or cannot hear Bhagavad Gita. No, it is not like that. The answer is that we continue to hear and we will become devoid of all these impurities if we continuously keep hearing. It doesn't mean that the qualification is non-envy, so I can't hear. Yes, everyone can hear, but what happens is after regularly hearing Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, what happens is that Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki, right? Naishtiki means our bhakti will become steady, it will become more firm, we will be more enthusiastic to hear, to read, and at the same time, we will be able to relish Srimad Bhagavatam. When can we relish it? When our heart is clean, and the mind space is not taken over by this thought, that thought, what someone said, what happened the other day, how the neighbors are not doing justice to me. I lost my car park space. There are so many things, right? I mean, these are not the things to occupy our precious mind space. And when our mind is clear, then we'll be able to actually, there will be space for more relevant things, because human birth is such a blessing. Why? Because we have something called Viveka. Viveka means we have the understanding of what is right and wrong. And we are also given a little free will by Lord to make the right choice. So, what happens to us and how we respond? In between that, we can choose. Animals can't choose how to act, they just act as per instinct, but we can choose. And this is the way that if we regularly hear Srimad Bhagavatam, then Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam will happen. Krishna will give us the intelligence how to respond, how to really use our time in the best way. Because there are so many things that we all do. If we avoid those things, then there will be so much time left to actually study or read or chant and actually spend a lot more time in Krishna consciousness than give away this human birth into petty things or something that happened. That should not be taking. Actually, overthinking is not good. And thinking more about what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, the scriptures makes more sense. It will really help us, give us a peace of mind, clear our heart of all the impurities, and then Krishna can happily sit there and will be able to relish how this analogy says that when the fresh water drops on the lake, then it forms a beautiful, transparent, clear water. That is required. The transparency is required, and that will happen because there should be no room for negativity, right? The negativity, we shouldn't let it enter only in our mind or in our hearts. The minute it comes, the material intelligence, we are studying the fourth canto, there is an analogy that a person is like he's called Puranjan and his material intelligence is called Puranjini. And when this Maya, the material intelligence takes over the Jiva, then what havoc happens? He just wants to do sense gratification and enjoy the senses. So actually, there is no end also to sense enjoyment is there. If you just sit down to write how many desires you have, if you are given a piece of paper and pen, I'm sure that paper will not be enough for any of us because there'll be so many desires. We will need probably more paper. So that's not the way to live because actually that is never going to satisfy us. But what actually satisfies is devotional service because that is the constitutional position of Jiva. We are servants of the Lord, we are children of Krishna, and when we actually use our senses in the services of Krishna, then our senses are also chaste and we are happy because the Lord will sitting in our heart will become happy and that will give us the real satisfaction and the hankering will stop. Because I also heard this very one nice thing. We'll move on to next verse soon, but I wanted to mention this, that how the material desires are non-ending and we just want more and more. Similarly, when we spiritualize our desires or we try to hear Krishna Katha, I don't know whether you have experienced this, but I feel that hearing does not satiate us. There is no satisfaction. We want to hear more and more and more, and hear more and read more. So, in the same way that the material desires are not satisfied, if we spiritualize, then even spiritually we want to hear more and more. That is a good, positive non satisfaction, because what is happening materially will happen spiritually, and if that happens, then that's the best way, that's the brilliant way to live. And even I was reading quote by my Guru Maharaj today, His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj. He said gold is most malleable metal. You know, gold, when it is melted, it's most malleable because it has least resistance. And if we reduce our resistance in Krishna's service, the current of Krishna's mercy will easily flow through our heart. So we also need to not resist any services given to us. I mean, Shravanam is the best service as well. If one of the services, like how everyone distributes books, Srila Prabhupada's books in the streets, discussing Bhagavatam and speaking Bhagavatam and reading Bhagavatam and telling others about it is also distributing books. You are distributing what is inside Bhagavatam as well. So this is also one of the most important activities. Whoever we meet, we can at least discuss 2 shlokas we read of Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam, something we read, something we heard, so important we can discuss with someone. So that was 285. We'll move on quickly to 286. Dautatma Purusha Krishna Padamulam na munchati Mukta Sarva Parikleshaha Pantha Swasharanam Yatha. A pure devotee of the Lord, whose heart has once been cleansed by the process of devotional service, never relinquishes the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, for they fully satisfy him, as a traveler is satisfied at home after a troubled journey. Anyone wants to read the purport, or I can read? I don't mind. Was it Chetna Mataji you wanted to read? Are you there?
Yeah, I can read. One who is not a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord Krishna is not completely cleansed in the heart, but a perfectly cleansed person never quits the devotional service of the Lord. In discharging such devotional service as ordered by Brahmaji to Narada in the preaching of Srimad Bhagavatam, sometimes a representative of the Lord engaged in preaching work meets various so-called difficulties. This was exhibited by Lord Nityananda when he delivered the 2 fallen souls, Jagai and Madai, and similarly Lord Jesus Christ was crucified by the non-believers. But such difficulties are very gladly suffered by the devotees in preaching, because in such activities, although apparently very severe, the devotees of the Lord feel transcendental pleasure because the Lord is satisfied. Prahlad Maharaj suffered greatly, but still he never forgot the lotus feet of the Lord. This is because a pure devotee of the Lord is so purified in his heart that he cannot leave the shelter of Lord Krishna in any circumstances. There is no self-interest in such service. The progress of culturing knowledge by the Gyanis or the bodily gymnastics by the yogis are ultimately given up by the respective performers, but a devotee of the Lord cannot give up the service of the Lord, for he is ordered by his spiritual master. Pure devotees like Narada and Nityananda Prabhu take up the order of the spiritual master as the sustenance of life. They do not mind what becomes of the future of their lives. They take the matter very seriously, as the order comes from the higher authority, from the representative of the Lord, or from the Lord himself. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. The example set herein is very appropriate. A traveler leaves home to search for wealth in far distant places, sometimes in the forest and sometimes on the ocean, and sometimes on hilltops. Certainly, there are many troubles for the traveler when he is in such unknown places, but all such troubles are at once mitigated as soon as the sense of his family affection is remembered, and as soon as he returns home, he forgets all such troubles anyway. On the way, a pure devotee of the Lord is exactly in a family tie with the Lord, and therefore he is undeterred in discharging his duty in a full affectionate tie with the Lord. So again, this is such a beautiful and important verse here. To summarize, the verse says that a devotee never gives up Krishna's lotus feet, no matter what. And we know the best example also, many examples are there. Prahlad Maharaj is there, Dhruv Maharaj is there. Then again, Pandavas, Kunti Maharani, they all went through so much atrocities, but they never give up Krishna's lotus feet, right? So one who is attached to Krishna will not leave his lotus feet, purified of the anarthas. The previous two verses say that how hearing Srimad Bhagavatam and devotional service will purify our heart. Once the heart is pure, Krishna seated in the heart, that devotee will never leave Krishna, and Krishna will not leave that devotee either, right? After going through 84 lakhs of species, if this devotee has finally come to Krishna, like how it says in the verse, then when we are very very tired and we are so troubled when we are out in the hot sun or going from one place to another, but the minute we reach home we feel, finally I'm at home. You feel very peaceful and happy. Similarly, a person feels like this coming to the process of bhakti. Finally he's home. He has found the way. He's got devotional service, and when this bhakti becomes staunch, it becomes unflinching, it is unmotivated, it is uninterrupted, it is called a Shuddha Bhakti or Ananya Bhakti. Then he is liberated of all the miseries, all the tapatraya, same as how it says in 112, that such akinchana bhakti uproots all the threefold miseries, right? Even in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Klesho dikatarastesham avyakta sakta chetasam avyakta hi gatir dukkham deha vadbir avapyate. So those whose minds are attached to unmanifested, impersonal form of the Lord, for them advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. So because we are suffering from the miseries, but how Kunti Maharani says in Bhagavatam in the 8th chapter, first canto, she says that let the calamities come again and again because this is the best way. This is the reason to remember you, Krishna. Because how many of us actually remember Krishna intensely when we are happy and things are going smooth according to our wish? But when things are very tough, then I have seen like also that how our chanting becomes more intense, becomes more serious, and we are more focused. So miseries are actually a reason or excuse that we will actually remember Krishna. That is why she says, Kunti Maharani says, how it is an opportunity to intensify our bhakti in 1825. Vipada Santuta Shashvat Tatra Tatra Jagadguru. Bhavato darshanam yat syat, apunarbhava darshanam. Because by seeing you, it means, Krishna, that we will no longer see repeated birth and death. So let these miseries come, because Krishna's mercy might come in the form of what is not very palatable to us. It could be miseries, but that is what is devotee's faith. His bhakti is steady, right? So that's what it is. And even in 10:14:8, I think the verse is Tattenu Kampam Susamikshmano Bhunjana Evatma Kritam Vipakam Ridvak Vapubir Vidadhan Namaste Jivita Yo Mukti Pade Sadaibak. Here it says that, my dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reaction of his past misdeeds and suffering. What is this is such a beautiful words that actually we are suffering, that is our own reaction of past misdeeds. But while that is happening, this person is very patient and he's waiting for Krishna to bestow his mercy, and he is offering his obeisances within his heart to the Lord with his mind, body, and words. Then such a person is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. And this is Lord Brahma's prayers, 10:48. Such a beautiful verse that if one endures suffering, and he waits for the mercy of the Lord, then he becomes eligible for liberation. Same in this 286, same theme is there that the devotee will not give up Krishna's lotus feet no matter what. So this is how we can see that how it is so important to continuously hear and to continuously pray and to continuously stay in the company of Srimad Bhagavatam and hear from pure devotees of the Lord. Uh, Again, here Prabhupada has given this traveler's analogy. Similarly, there is in fourth canto, 4.30.22, Pracheta Uchuhu, Namo Nama Klesha Vinashanaya, Nirupitodara Guna Vayaya, Mano Vachovega Puro Javaya, Sarvaksha Marger Agatadhvane Namaha. So, this is the prayers of Pracheta, and they are the sons of Prachina Barhi in the fourth canto. The Pracheta said that, Dear Lord, you relieve all kinds of material distress. Your magnanimous transcendental qualities and holy name are all auspicious, and this conclusion is already settled. You can go faster than the speed of mind and words, and you cannot be perceived by material senses. We therefore offer you respectful obeisances again and again. So, just like a traveler is satisfied at home after a troubled journey, a conditioned soul who searches for enjoyment everywhere after pursuing many material goals feels like this when he comes to the process of bhakti by the mercy of devotees. So, bhakti reclaims astray souls by sending the acharyas. Yeah, and that reminds me that Krishna is so merciful that he reclaims us in 5 ways to go back to him. First, he does the creation of this world. So we come here, and if we are very fortunate by the mercy of devotees, if we come to bhakti, then we can go back to the Lord. Then first is creation, second is frustration. We get frustrated by not being satisfied of our material desires being fulfilled. Then also we will think of Krishna and would want to go back. Then third will be the scriptures. We are given Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, the knowledge is here. And by reading this, if we understand, then Krishna reclaims us back if we follow the devotional process. Fourth is he sends acharyas, Srila Prabhupada. He sends all the great souls to give us these teachings. And finally, incarnations. Lord takes birth himself. He comes and creates this subject matter for us. He will claim us back. So in these 5 ways, Krishna tries to claim us back. Creation, frustration, scriptures, acharyas, and Lord comes himself by his incarnation. Such is the mercy of the Lord. And there are so many, many, many more verses there to speak on this topic, on these verses. There are at least another 15, 20 verses that I had prepared, I wanted to speak on, but such is the glory of Bhagavatam. It is never not ending at all. And the last verse here, okay, so from the verses 7 in this chapter to, let's have a look, 7 to 23 verses are the questions by Parikshit Maharaj. So questions from 7 to 11 are about the Lord and the Jiva, living entity. And 11 to 23 questions are about Kala, Karma and other topics, right? So we will read this question and then we will end because it's only a question. यत् अधातु मतो ब्रह्मन् देहारम्भोऽस्य धातुभिः यत् ऋच्छया हेतुना वा भवन्तो जानते यथा. O learned Brahman, the transcendental spirit soul is different from the material body. Does he acquire the power by some cause? Will you kindly explain this, for it is known to you? Okay, so this question is that how did the living entity Jiva, who is spiritual in nature, how did he get a body which is material? And we'll read the purport and then we can conclude. Maharaj Parikshit, being a typical devotee, is not only satisfied by confirming the importance of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from the representative of Brahmaji by disciplic succession, but he is still more anxious to establish philosophical basis of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the science of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and as such, all questions they may arise in the mind of a serious student must be cleared by the statements of the authority. A person on the path of devotional service may inquire from his spiritual master all about the spiritual position of God and the living beings. From the Bhagavad Gita, as well as from the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is known that qualitatively the Lord and the living beings are one. The living being in the conditioned state of material existence is subjected to many transmigrations by continuously changing of the material body. But what are the causes of the material embodiment of the part and parcel of the Lord? Maharaj Parikshit inquires about this very important matter for the benefit of all classes of candidates on the path of self realization and devotional service of the Lord. Indirectly, it is confirmed that the Supreme Being, the Lord, makes no such material changes of body. He is spiritually whole, with no difference between his body and his soul, unlike the conditioned soul. The liberated living beings who associate with the Lord in person are also exactly like the Lord. Only the conditioned souls awaiting liberation are subjected to change of bodies. How was the process first begin? In the process of devotional service, the first step is to take shelter of the spiritual master and then inquire from the spiritual master all about the process. This inquiry is essential for immunity to all kinds of offenses on the path of devotional service. Even if one is fixed in devotional service like Maharaj Parikshit, he must still inquire from the realized spiritual master all about this. In other words, the spiritual master must also be well versed and learned so that he may be able to answer all these inquiries from the devotees. Thus, one who is not well versed in the authorized scriptures and not able to answer all such relevant inquiries should not pose as a spiritual master for the matter of material gain. It is illegal to become a spiritual master if one is unable to deliver the disciple. Jai. So here even asking such questions, Srila Prabhupada says is very, very relevant. It's a very thoughtful and wonderful question that if we are spiritual in nature, then why we have material body? And here Srila Prabhupada says that the first thing a person needs to do is that he needs to find a bona fide spiritual master who is in the disciplic succession and inquire from this spiritual master all about his questions, who will help him understand the answer. All answers lie in the process of devotional service. All questions, the answer is bhakti. So many times, repeatedly in Bhagavatam, we will see in all the cantos, bhakti is glorified. And this process we can only understand through a bona fide spiritual master. His bhakti is ahaituki apratihata. There are no motivations, right? So here he says that don't go and approach someone who has other motives. Right thing is to follow the bona fide spiritual master who is our best well wisher. He will show us the process of devotional service and answer all our questions and guide us. And this question will also be answered in the ninth chapter, first three verses, and also in 3.7, third canto, seventh chapter, 10 and 12. There will be more on this question in those chapters. So here I would like to conclude. Thank you so much. Please forgive my mistakes. If you have anything to add, please go ahead. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Nirjala Ekadasi ki jai, वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you so much,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna Mataji. Yeah, it was very nice class. I
Thank you so
really,
much.
really enjoyed it. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so
We'll
much.
conclude for today.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Wonderful.